So for me, being present is all about giving my undivided attention to someone, my undivided attention to something, my undivided attention to whatever it is, even to myself. And I think this is the most important thing is giving back to ourselves as well, listening and being in tune with ourselves and for what we need. Beautiful people, what is up? Welcome to another solo episode of the Interchange podcast. And thank you so much for your support so far. I really appreciate it. I've been getting some great feedback from you guys around the solo episodes. So please, if there's something that you want me to talk about, let me know. I'd love to give you guys as much value as possible, and I'd rather talk to you about something you guys want to hear rather than the shit that I just want to share. There's that English of mine again going all the time. Anyways, so yeah, if you've got something you'd like me to cover or something you'd like me to talk about a little bit, then shoot me a message. Yeah, do your thing. Send me an email, whatever you want to do. Call me, message. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Just let me know and give me the topic that you'd like me to talk about, and I'll do my best to try and cover that for you in as much depth as possible, whilst giving you and everyone else that's listening as much value as possible, because that's the purpose of this podcast, and especially these solo podcasts, is to give you guys as much value as I possibly can. I want you guys to take something away from every single one of these episodes that you can implement and take into your life. So yeah, like I said, I'd love to be giving you guys the content that you want to see rather than just doing the shit that I want to talk about. Trust me, I can talk all day. I've got hundreds of topics I could talk about. I've got a list in my phone that I'm just working through slowly at the moment. So yeah, give me some stuff to add to that list and I'll put it at the top of the list and I'll work through it for you guys. So today, well, actually not this today, sorry. This week has been my son's birthday week. So we had his birthday party last Friday. Most amazing experience. So the guys at iFly Gold Coast, shout out to you guys and especially James Fenson. Thanks, bro, for being an absolute legend. And not only, I guess, looking after the kids, but letting us big kids jump in there as well. So there was a couple of kids that didn't show up for the indoor skydiving for Will's birthday, which meant that us big kids, hello, me and a couple of mates, got to jump in the tunnel and go for a little bit of a cruise and a little bit of a burn as well, which was sick. So thanks for that, guys. But this experience of sharing this passion of mine, which is skydiving, obviously, and I guess the closest thing we can get to doing that with a 5-year-old is the indoor skydiving tunnel. Being able to share this with my son is just the most fulfilling thing ever. Like, it honestly just brings me so much joy to see him not only, I guess, doing it, because I think back to when I was a kid, and like I had a conversation with Jeff Weatherall, a base jumper that was on my podcast just yesterday about this, and he's like, man, like I played piano and I did this and I did that, but I hated them. I don't remember a word of what I was taught, or a note of what I was taught, and I don't remember anything. I did it for 5 years. I was the same. I did it for 5 years, and I couldn't play chopsticks anymore. I literally couldn't play that shit anymore. Everyone knows how to play chopsticks, right? Um, but from 5 years, and I did gradings and everything, I don't remember a thing. And that's because my parents forced me into it. So it's almost like a bit of PTSD. My brain's just blocked that part of my musical talent, we'll call it, out. Same with playing tennis. Like, I got forced to do that, hated it. And now I wish I could play tennis because it's such a good activity. Anyone want to go for a hit? Let me know. I'm always keen. But yeah, so the fact of the matter is that he actually really froths it. Like, it's the highlight of his week. I go and pick him up from kindy on a Monday, and all the kids are like, are you guys going skydiving? Oh my God, that's so hectic. That's sick. Like, it's the talk. It's the talk of the kindy. It's so cool. And for him to be able to do that, it's just like, you can see the little grin on his face. You can see how much pride he has in it and so much happiness. Um, but a couple of years ago, when Will first, I guess, started spending a lot more time with me, I wasn't the man I am today. The big thing that I noticed was there was a lot of patterns that started to play out that were, I guess, things that my dad did when I was growing up. So I'm sure a lot of you guys can connect, and this isn't just for parents, right? But are you being present? Especially if you're a parent, are you being present with your kid? Are you actually giving them your time, or are you just there and existing and on your phone? This is the thing, as kids, they see everything. They see that you're not paying them attention. You're not being present with them. You're not giving them the time of day. They're not important enough to you. Your phone, this thing here, is the worst thing in the world, and it's taking your attention away. Put it over there so it's not going to distract me now in case it vibrates. But Yeah, anyways, this is the thing, like, being present is something that so many of us struggle with, and I've had multiple occasions throughout my life where I've been reminded to be present, yeah? Um, so I think I spoke a little bit more about this as well in the episode I did earlier around, like, boxing and, skydiving, why I love them, because those are 2 sports that force you to be present. Once again, I had this chat with Jeff yesterday. Like, there's nothing but presence when you're standing on the edge of a cliff about to jump off. I've never base jumped, but he's an avid base jumper, absolutely froths it. And he said, like, just the feeling of like actually being there in the moment and just you and this cliff and this fall that you're about to take or this flight, and you've got to be switched on. You've got to be there. You've got to be 100% in it. These are the reasons that I love skydiving and boxing is because it forces us to be present. But taking away from that, which I spoke about previously, I want to ask you about how you're being present in your life. So kids will only, I guess, reciprocate what they're given. If they're not given love and attention, they're not going to reciprocate love and attention. They are a mirror of us. I actually did a little reel about this on Instagram just the other day, and I'm sure that it ruffled a few feathers and triggered a few people, which is my intention behind that because we need to realize that it is our responsibility as parents. Once again, if you're not a parent, still keep listening because there's going to be some gold in here for you. Um, Even if you're not a parent, or sorry, if you are a parent, it is our responsibility to nurture our children to the best of our ability. So for me, being present is all about giving my undivided attention to someone, my undivided attention to something, my undivided attention to whatever it is, even to myself. And I think this is the most important thing is giving back to ourselves as well, listening and being in tune with ourselves and for what we need. This is where mindfulness practices come in real handy because if we don't listen to what we need, how can we give the best version of ourselves to the world? And once again, that contribution, how can we contribute the best side of us without first being in tune with what we need first? Does that make sense? I think I've doubled a couple of words up there. But anyways, you get what I'm saying. Yeah, so this is why mindfulness is such a great practice. And when people say mindfulness, I actually was corrected on this by Cooper Chapman. Shout out, bro. Appreciate the podcast she came out and did me, and I actually got a lot of value out of that. But if you haven't listened to that, I think it's episode 3 or 5. Go back listen to that. That's a great chat. But the chat we had about mindfulness was for me. I thought mindfulness was like meditation and these things, but mindfulness is literally just being present. If you're chewing your food, feeling and tasting and experiencing every bite. If you're drinking your water, thinking about how grateful you are for that water. These are all examples of how you can start to be present and more present and be mindful in your life because these things are all things that are blessings for us. Yeah. So start to I guess take that into your day to day life. But the big one for me was, like I said, my son, being present with him. And I think that this last week that I've spent with him has been so amazing because I've spent a lot more time being present in his life. The computers and all that sort of stuff and the work, it's not going to go anywhere. It's got to get done. I've got to do it. But I've made more of a conscious effort to actually be present and spend time with my son doing the things he likes to do. And I say that quite loosely. I don't know how much he likes actually going for a walk with me. I'll riding his bike while I do my walk on 75 hard, but it still means we're spending time together, right? And I make sure that we cook dinner together every night when he's here. He's no TV while he's doing that, much to his dislike. But we cook dinner together, and he helps me do all that sort of stuff. And all these little things are starting to build habits for him, so he will start to communicate and connect with other humans on a deeper level. And I see that coming out every day, like the way that he can articulate himself and talk to people and just be in social environments and situations. I think back to when I was a kid, I was nowhere near that advanced as he is when he's 5 years old. So remember that it's up to us to impact these children by being present with them and by what we expose them to. Back to the moral of the story though. So I want you to think about at the moment how you're showing up for yourself and how you are being present in your life if you're being present. When was the last time that you just spent time alone by yourself with no distractions? None of these things. No Instagram, no Facebook, no Tinder, no Bumble, whatever the apps are that you use. When was the last time you actually spent some time just sitting, admiring, taking in and being grateful for the world around us? Literally, I try and make a habit of doing this. I probably shouldn't be doing it when I'm driving, but looking at the clouds, looking at the trees, looking at the sunshine, and just being thankful for these things. Yeah. This is all part of being present because if you're not present in your own life, you're going to miss the best parts. So, story here for you guys. I actually went to Europe last year, and because I was so fixated on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and not stuck in the present, this is what being present is all about. It's about being in the moment, in the now, in the right here, where we are at this very point in time, like me being present right now for you guys, talking to this camera. That is what I'm doing. There's no distractions. There is nothing else. It's just me and you guys having this conversation. Another, I guess, place where I find that I'm finding myself to be more present lately is within the podcast, actually listening and tuning into what my guests are saying. And it makes for such a better conversation. It's just so much more organic. There's no intention behind it. And I find that that works really well. But think about the areas in your life where you are being present, and then think about areas where you can start to be more present in your life. With your children, massive one with your children. Okay, so are you sitting there on the phone texting while they're watching TV and Wiggles or whatever, like whatever the shit is that you don't want to watch? They'll remember that. They will see that. My dad, for example, like he did really well by me. There was a lot of things I didn't agree with that he did. There's probably a lot of things that I did that he didn't agree with, but now we've formed a better bond and a better relationship. And that's what happens, I guess, as you start to get older. You realize that these guys were just doing the best with what they had, right? They didn't know any better. That's a massive, I guess, pivotal moment for me in my life. But yeah, so he'd come home from work as a child. I remember he'd come home from work like 6 o'clock and he'd leave really early in the morning. And in his eyes, he was doing all this for us kids. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go and work, but what I'm saying is make sure that you're taking the time to be present with your children, and be present with yourself. TV is not being present. That's not giving you what you need. That's the distraction from doing the shit that you need to do for you. It is literally the killer of dreams. It's like that comfort zone, right? It stops you from making progress in life. That TV is the worst thing in the world. Now, all I saw, even though in his eyes he was providing for us kids, all I saw was him coming home, drinking piss, having dinner, watching TV. That was his life every night. He'd play tennis once or twice a week. And for me as a kid growing up, that was just like, oh, well, he doesn't want to spend time with me. Once again, this is because from that age of 1 to 7, this is what I saw. It was like, I'm not important. And I had a real big, I guess, complex and a big insecurity around that. I'm not important. I'm not enough. And it probably came back to that there of not getting attention, not getting what I needed from my father. And like honestly, shout out to him. He's put up with a lot of shit from me over the years. I had his house raided twice by the age of 16, twice. And he reminded me of that a couple of years ago at Christmas, and I was like, oh, this is what I have to look forward to with my son. But he still loved me, yeah, and he did the best with what he could. But now that I understand that that's the pattern that not caused, but that's the pattern that led to my behavior, that lack of feeling like I was loved and lack of feeling like I was able to fit in with the family group because I just didn't feel like I got that love from my parents. Once again, they loved me, but I didn't feel like I was getting the love that I needed. And that just came back to my little baby brain and the way that I deciphered things that were going on around me. But now it's like I caught myself doing the same thing with my son. So when he was here, and look, don't get me wrong, like during the days when he's not at kindy, I just let him watch TV and I take him for a walk at lunchtime and I finish work by 5 o'clock, but I make sure then I am present in the moment and I'm with him. But when I was a kid, I didn't have that. My dad would come home, watch TV, and if I wanted to talk to him, he'd just, nah, look, just leave me alone. I'm just having my time, my time, my time, my time. And to me, it was like, don't you love me? Am I not getting the attention? Why am I not getting the attention that I need? This is what I want. Why are you not loving me? And that same thought pattern just kept replaying, and then led to all these other activities and behaviors later down the track. So presence starts with obviously being present with yourself and listening to what you need. Sure, my dad probably felt like he needed that TV at the time to deal with his big, busy day, but he probably also hasn't lived his life to his full potential or to his purpose. You know, he had a business that did quite well and it made good money, but whether that was fulfilling or not for him, I'm not too sure. This is the thing. This is why we need to go deep within and actually listen to what we need as a human, what we need as a person, what we need as a spirit, as opposed to just doing the shit that makes us feel good and numbs us at the time. So since I started to be more present with my son, I've watched our relationship just flourish. He gets more excited to come. Oh, that's a lie, actually. He still screams about coming to my place from his mum's because, he's mummy's boy. But once he's in the car, he's sweet and he doesn't really talk about it much more. And the time we spend together is just so much more enjoyable because he's now opening up a lot more to me, and he's a chatterbox. He won't shut up. So he's opening up a lot more to me, and that's because I'm opening my heart to him and actually being present for him rather than having the distractions and rather than just getting angry and telling him that I need to work and all that sort of stuff. I have made an intention to really make sure that I'm spending time with him. So shout out to the parents out there that already do this, and to the parents that struggle with this, take note. Like I said previously, our children soak up absolutely everything. And that then becomes their foundation for what they see as right and wrong, what they see as being okay, what they see as love being, and what they see as X, Y, and Z, you name it. Okay, they learn all of that from us. They are literally our little sponges. So, by being more present in your own life, okay, and being more grateful and being more appreciative of everything you have. Another thing as well around being present is just being in the moment. And I actually just remembered I went off topic when I was speaking about the Europe trip. So I went to Europe last year. Let's just go back to that now. I'm jumping all over the shop. Bing, bing, bing. Tell me you have ADHD without telling me you have ADHD. Anyways, Europe trip last year. I went to all these different beautiful destinations: Greece, Croatia, Italy, Spain. Where else we go? Switzerland. I think that was it. Singapore as well. Anyways, but by being focused on the future so much and focused on where I wanted to go next and what we were doing and whatnot, rather than actually being present in the moment, I found that it wasn't as enjoyable as what I thought. I went to all these beautiful places, Positano, right? Italy, Amalfi Coast, most beautiful place I've ever been to. One of, anyways. There's a lot of amazing places in Greece and Croatia as well, but one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. And I was like, I didn't really enjoy it because I was like, okay, what next? Now what are we doing? Now what are we doing? Now what are we doing? And I was living through my phone too. I wasn't just absorbing it. I was like Instagram and I was taking photos. And if I had that time over again, which, hopefully I will one day, I would just be in the moment. I'd just be there. I'd just be soaking up the sunshine, that beautiful Italian sunshine. I'd be sipping on those beautiful limoncellos. I'd be doing X, Y, whatever it is I'm doing in that moment, I would be in the moment a lot more rather than focusing on what the next thing is and the next thing is and the next thing is because because I was so focused on the future and the goal rather than the journey, I didn't enjoy it as much as what I could. Don't get me wrong, I had an absolutely amazing time. For anyone that hasn't traveled, please do yourself a favor, get out of the country because there's so much to see in the world. So much. And if you have the opportunity to go to Europe, do it. Don't hold back. Just get in there. Who cares if you come back broke? Money will come back to you. Money comes to you in abundance and it flows freely to us if we allow it to. So you can always make more money. Yeah, but go and experience this shit because the experiences that you have will be with you forever. And by being present in those moments, whether they be on a holiday, whether it be at your wedding, whether it be when planning your wedding, whether it be when starting a business, like all these little things that we do that we're like, I just want the goal, I want the end goal. Kids, for instance, perfect, like we just want them to grow up. No, we do not. We want them to stay little because we want to enjoy every single moment and it goes like that. All I'm trying to say is be present. So take a few moments every day to think about what you do have rather than what you do not. So it's a little bit of a mindset shift as well. Because once you start to focus on the things that you do have, you'll start to see more of the things that you do have, more positivity in your life, and in turn start to be more present and actually see everything around you for what it is. So that's the one thing I want you to take away from today. If you are able to be more present in your life, where are the areas right now that you're not being present? And how can you show up for yourself to give you what you need to be more present? Because remember, we are the most important thing to us. We need to look after ourselves. And a big part of that is by being present and tuning into what we need as a human being. Guys, thanks again. If you've listened all the way through, love your work. Thank you. And if there's something else you want me to cover or talk about, please drop a comment, send me a message, send me an email, do whatever you need to do. And I'll try and cover that. Not try, I will cover that in front of everything else that I was going to cover in my solo topics. Thanks again, guys. Have an amazing week, day, month, year. Have an amazing life.